Bonjour mes amis. Today we're going to do one of my top 10 favorite recipes of all time. Julia Child style French onion soup. Oh my gosh, is this good. Now, as you know, there are lots of French onion soup recipes out there, and I've tried a lot of them myself, and some of them are very, very good. But the way Julia Child does it, it may be a little more work, but my gosh, does it ever taste better. So give this a shot, and here's how we do it. Okay, first up, this is a double batch of the recipe listed at the end of this video. So we're going to start by peeling and then chopping 12 full cups of onion. It's a lot of onion, but this is a double recipe. Next up, take a cast iron Dutch oven or any large pot you've got, and over medium-low heat, preheat it, and then add a couple of tablespoons of cooking oil and maybe 3 or 4 tablespoons of butter. Let that melt, let it heat up, and then add the onions. We're going to sweat those onions for about 20 minutes, get them soft and translucent before we go to the next step, which is kicking up the heat and begin to caramelize them. Now, to caramelize the onions, we're going to kick the heat up to medium-high, add a little bit of salt and sugar, and you're going to need to stir constantly, because if you scorch or burn the onions at this point, they're ruined and the recipe's ruined. This will take some time. You're going to have to stand there and stir it, but they will reduce considerably until you've got a fairly dark brown pile of onions at the bottom of your pot. Once the onions are caramelized, turn your heat down to medium-low and add some flour. Mix that all in and get almost like a paste at the bottom. If you need a little bit of butter, throw it in. Julia loved her butter, and there was never too much. And stir that around for 2 or 3 minutes to cook the flour and get rid of the flour taste. Then you can add about a cup of beef broth to the mixture and begin to scrape off all the little bits from the bottom of the pan. They are really tasty. You want to leave them in the soup, but you need to scrape them off the bottom first. Then go about adding the rest of your beef broth and season with sage and bay leaf, and then you can use white wine or red wine, either or, but I've used vermouth because Julia used vermouth, and quite frankly, it is the best. Now let the soup simmer for 20 or 30 minutes. Your soup is basically made at this point. We can go ahead and make the croûtes and prepare the cheese and get ready to make the final French onion soup. Now set your oven to 325 and take a French stick or a baguette and slice off 2 pieces of bread for each bowl of soup you're going to make. Put those on a pan, throw them into the oven for 15 minutes, then bring them out, flip them over, put a little bit of EVOO on there, and put them back in for another 15 minutes until they're nicely toasted. Now grab a mixing bowl and mix together your Swiss and Parmesan cheese at a ratio of about 4 to 1 in favor of Swiss. Give that a good mix and your cheese is ready to go. Now we're ready to do the final assembly of the soup and the cooking, and we start with taking the bowls and lining them with a little bit of soft butter. Then place a croûte at the bottom and a little bit of cheese on top of that, and add some of the soup broth. At that point, it's time to do the secret ingredient. If you've got it, add a tablespoon or 2 of cognac or brandy to each bowl of soup. It adds that special je ne sais quoi to the soup and is really delicious. Now go ahead and fill the rest of the soup bowl with your soup and add the other croûte at the top. Then layer on a big pile of cheese and place those on a pan. Set your oven to 350 and bake the soups for about 20 minutes until that cheese is melted. Then switch your oven to broil and broil for a couple of minutes just to brown off that cheese at the end, making it very special for presentation and taste. Once cooked, bring them out, let them stand for about 5 minutes, and then dig in and enjoy. As Julia Child would say, bon appetit.